Great. Thank you everyone for joining ANC 6E for a special meeting. Today is September 2nd, 2025, and right now it's 6:31 p.m. And we will start by doing a roll call and call to order, and then we'll vote on the agenda and start the programming. I'll start by calling the single member district um, number, and if any of the commissioners is joining us with a different name, please let us know by using the raise hand option or typing in the Q&A box. ANC 6E01,
Present.
ANC 6E02. ANC 6E03, ANC 6E04 is vacant, ANC 6E05 present, ANC 6E06,
Present.
ANC 6E07, ANC 6E08,
Present.
and then 6E09, Commissioner Hans.
Yep, sorry, present.
Great. So we have a quorum of 5 commissioners in attendance, 1 vacancy, and then 3 absent commissioners. Moving forward, we will look at the draft agenda. I'm sharing my screen. Can all the commissioners see my screen for the agenda? You want me to make it bigger? Oh, that's too big. Is this okay?
Yes.
Do that.
Okay, great. So we're holding a special meeting because we wanted to discuss recent developments with federal takeover or overreach in DC regarding policing, and we wanted to hold this special meeting to discuss this issue and then also discuss and vote on a couple of resolutions expressing ANC 6E's collective stance about this issue. So we went with item number 1. Item number 2 is approval of the agenda. Item number 3 will have some remarks by Councilmember Charles Allen, who's a council member for Ward 6. We will have time allocated for Q&A with a council member. And we would want the discussion and the Q&A to be mostly focused on the current situation with federal overreach or takeover in DC. We'll be voting on 2 separate resolutions, one condemning the federal overreach in the District of Columbia, policing and demanding the immediate return of local funds, and then the other item is a resolution regarding having issues with the ability to identify federal agents and officers operating in the District of Columbia. We'll have short window for an open forum if there are any time-pressing issues unrelated to the discussion today that you wanted to raise, and then we will adjourn. And as a reminder, we will still have our regular monthly meeting on the last Thursday of this month, which will be September 25th. So this is a special meeting focused on a specific topic, but if any constituents have any time pressing or urgent items that they want to raise, they could do that. Commissioners, any comments or suggested changes regarding the agenda before we vote on approving it? Okay, great. Anyone would want to make a motion to vote on approving the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to move that we approve this agenda for our meeting this evening.
Great, thank you. Anyone would like to second?
Yep, I can second it.
Okay, so Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Hahn seconded a motion to approve the agenda for the ANC 6E special meeting on September 2nd, 2025. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Great. The motion passes with 5 yeas, 0 nays, and no abstains. And we can move to the next item, which is a presentation or a discussion led by Councilmember Charles Allen. Good afternoon, Councilmember. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can see you and hear you okay.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks so much for having me. If I could make one friendly amendment to the agenda. I don't know if I need 20 minutes to make remarks, but happy to, of
No
course, to leave
problem.
time for Q&A. You may just jump right in, Mr. Chair?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, great. Well, listen, first off, thank you very much for inviting me and kind of putting me on your agenda here. I also want to thank the ANC for taking up what I think is a really important resolution to have ANC 6E's voice heard on this, making it official. I think, I don't know what the outcome of the vote will be, but I think that if I were to guess, I think you're going to be representing your constituents and DC residents at large with the concerns expressed. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't have a sense or know what's going on. It's also quite visible. This is undoubtedly, this is the single greatest threat to the District of Columbia since the beginning of Home Rule. This is very serious and across all of government, from the mayor to the attorney general to the council, everybody understands what's at stake and how important this is. It's wrong, it's unwarranted, it's unnecessary. I can come up with a lot of words to describe it, but it's just wrong. President Trump has exercised a part of the Home Rule Charter, which in essence gives 30 days of where the president can declare an emergency and be able to require that our police department provide resources for federal purposes to the administration. And that's playing out in a number of ways, and we can talk more about that. In addition, he has activated the National Guard. Again, you all probably know this, but DC is the only place in our country where that jurisdiction's National Guard is not at the control of their governor. We have our National Guard does not respond to our mayor. It goes to the president. You can recall just not that long ago on January 6th, where the same president, decided not to activate the Guard and not be able to take action. Yet here today, we see National Guard, not just from the DC National Guard, from several other states all over the place. They initially said, of course, they're going to be unarmed. They're just here to provide a presence. And then very quickly, they are carrying sidearms, they are carrying rifles, and now they are just wandering around the city, as well as spreading some mulch, apparently, because when you eviscerate the National Park Service, turns out that you can't maintain your parks, and so it's something they've decided to use the National Guard for. It is not an appropriate use of the National Guard, of course. And listen, my dad was in the Guard. These are folks that volunteer, they serve, they are trained, and they do a serious job in national disasters, natural disasters, and other things. I was talking to one National Guard member over at Union Station, 20-something guy who just was kind of there and clearly bored out of his mind and really not knowing what he's supposed to do. And we chatted a bit, and I was like, listen, I want you to understand that we can draw a distinction between recognizing and thanking you for your volunteer service with the Guard and what you can do in real emergencies and in real times. But we're not happy you're here. You shouldn't be here. You're being used as a political pawn by this administration, and I think it disrespects your uniform and your service. And so I hope that you can hear us say two things: both, thank you for the service you provide, but this is not where that service is needed. Like you said, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But as I've talked to a lot of neighbors, that is the general feel I get from a lot of folks about the National Guard, recognizing they do play an important role in other places. And this is a political use of someone's public service. And I find that pretty disgusting, frankly. Then, of course, we have the federal agents, and that has been just the flooding in of Border Patrol, ICE agents, the U.S. Marshals. Now, DC, we work with federal agencies all the time. I mean, we're the nation's capital. We work with federal law enforcement all the time. But that's always been in partnership where we're calling the shots, but we work with federal partners. Think about examples, we have like regional task forces when there's a dangerous person who's got a warrant outstanding, and we have a warrant task force that we work with regionally that includes federal partners, Virginia and Maryland. And so that's not abnormal for us. This is not normal, however. We are seeing, for example, federal ICE agents riding shotgun in an MPD cruiser to chase after a food delivery driver. We're seeing park police decide that they're going to start chasing people on the streets of DC. You probably saw the Washington Post article just the other day. Out of 10 chases, 6 of them have ended in crashes. That just happened in my own neighborhood just the other day. Federal agents decided to start chasing a guy on a moped and chased him into traffic, and he crashed. He was able to get up, but it's incredibly dangerous what they're doing. It's reckless, and they don't have any care or concern, it seems, for our residential neighborhoods and for our residents. They are masked. They don't wear the name on their uniform. They don't show their badge. They don't identify themselves. That runs antithetical to what policing is in DC. MPD officers do not cover their face. They have to have their name shown. They wear body-worn cameras that capture the interactions with the public. If you ask for an officer for their ID number, their badge ID, they have to give it to you. We have a public and non-police Office of Police Complaints to be able to look at concerns around police behavior or accountability and transparency. From an MPD perspective, we actually have the rules, the laws, the regulations in place. We do not see that for federal agents. And again, it's wrong. I am watching these federal actions and agents completely eviscerate the public trust that MPD has been working to build up the last couple of years, because there's a point at which people don't distinguish between the uniforms. They see an ICE agent, they see a federal agent, especially when they see them in the same cruiser and on the same scene. And I think what the federal law enforcement officers are doing is actually greatly damaging the needed and necessary community relationship that our MPD officers are going to have. And I think that's going to have a lasting impact. I'm watching people so angry, so upset with anybody in law enforcement. And I am concerned because I mean, like you, we all work with our MPD officers and leadership. And we've really seen, I think, we've seen them over the last couple of years really work hard to build a stronger and stronger community relationship and address that issue. And I'm really concerned these federal actions are undermining that. And it's definitely what I hear from a lot of officers. They're very concerned when I talk to officers about what the long-term impact is going to be. And some of them just feel demoralized that they've spent all this time trying to build a relationship, and it's just getting undermined by what they're seeing with the federal folks. So where do we go from here? First off, I want to just advise everybody, if you see an encounter, we do encourage people, record it. Spend a second to make sure and help spread the word to your constituents. Know your rights type information. That either, we've put that out through my channels. The ACLU has good information. When we're seeing them, there's a guy arrested just standing on a scene filming. We are seeing them take actions that really run counter to the way in which we work in DC. So please help share the news around kind of just knowing your rights. But when we do see something, we are encouraging people to record it. Use your phone, pull it out, grab that video. There's organizations like Free DC that are trying to do a lot of organizing and a lot of training to help make sure people feel equipped and ready. And I do think, having conversations is really important, and staying in touch with each other, because right now feels also very dark and heavy. So to your friends, to your colleagues on the ANC, to others, just checking in with each other is really important, because I'm seeing people that are just really, really scared. They're frustrated. Check in with your local businesses as well. We are seeing what the federal incursion and occupation has done is really damaged our businesses. Restaurants saw huge drops in bookings and reservations. I've talked to retail businesses that are 40 to 50% down from this time a year ago. So comparing in August, which sometimes a little slower, to another August seeing huge decreases. I was talking to some businesses earlier this afternoon and reading where National Guard officers were just blanketed Barracks Row over on Capitol Hill. And the businesses were like, they won't move out of my doorway. I have 4 National Guard people hanging out by the front door. Nobody's coming in my door. It can be very intimidating and very scary. You know, I took Metro home today, and as I came up the escalator at Union Station, there were 30 to 40 police officers standing at the top of the escalator, just standing there staring as everyone came up the escalator. These things send people just to go straight home, to not go out. It's scary. Businesses are suffering, and our economy is taking a big hit. So even if it's just as simple as grabbing a cup of coffee or helping support your local business, I know it can make a difference for them, because they're hurting too right now to do that. So again, where do we go from here? The 30-day emergency is set to expire on September 10th, I believe, is the date. So next week. What happens after that? If one were to play by the rules and follow the law, then at the end of that emergency, then the federal agents and their use of MPD would end. You would see National Guard be withdrawn, and that would be it. I don't believe that's what we're going to see happen. The president cannot extend the 30 days unless Congress acts to pass an extension. Conceivably, Congress could try to do that. I don't think they have the votes in the Senate. You could have a party line vote in the House where they probably would pass an extension, just as the Republicans listen to the president. But on the Senate side, they need 60 votes, and I don't believe they could get to that threshold, but don't want to take anything for granted on that. Then you could have the president just ignore the Home Rule Act and just continue to have federal agents there. That potentially puts the attorney general into a lawsuit, but that would be a decision that has to get made with the mayor, with the council, with the attorney general to decide what that best step would be. You could have the president declare a national emergency, and he has that authority, every president does, and could start deploying National Guard in different ways. But I think what we said from the beginning, this actually isn't about DC. This is about power. This is about control and a president who wants to exercise it. He has not hidden the ball here at all. He has said, I want to go to Chicago. I want to go to Baltimore. I want to go to Memphis. I want to go, and just started rattling off all these cities. If we haven't learned anything, like, believe what he says. He's not kidding when he says he wants to put armed military on other American cities. It's unconstitutional. We had some court decisions today that rendered some of the actions he took in LA with National Guard as illegal. But I think it's going to continue, and it's going to be continue a way that he's going to push. This is the same guy who pardoned all these folks that attacked our city, attacked our police officers, that assaulted the Capitol. And he wants to try to show people and pretend he's tough and that he supports police officers when he pardoned thousands of people that had attacked and even tried to kill police officers. So this is a big political show, but it is serious. It's un-American. I think it's unconstitutional, and it's unnecessary. It's unwarranted. It puts us at greater risk. So I appreciate everybody speaking up and speaking out on it. I try to give a quick recap of that. Happy to stop talking here, turn it over to you. If there's some questions I can answer, or if I missed anything, please let me know. But I think it's really important that we do not be silent in this moment. We need to speak with clarity. We need to speak with certainty. We need to call out what is right and what is wrong, and this is wrong. So again, I'm really glad that ANC 6E is taking this action tonight. Mr. Chair, why don't I turn it back over to you if I can help answer any questions? Thanks.
Thank you. This was really helpful. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Sure, I'll jump in. Councilmember Allen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your tour d'horizon of really what's going on here. And I think you're spot on with all the various threats to home rule to the citizens through the risk of engagement with law enforcement, with National Guards, through the resumption of car chases, and on and on and on. I am also concerned about the related development in the decision by the I'm drawing a blank here. The attorney Janine Pirro to not prosecute long gun offenses, which I think is interesting because that, of course, opens the door to mischief from people who come from outside DC with something other than petty crime in mind, because petty crime is often committed with handguns easily concealable. So all of these things are greatly concerning, and of course, I agree with you that we must speak up because silence is a form of acquiescence here. I don't really have a specific a question. I know you mentioned some of the organizations that are doing work on this, such as Free DC, and I think it is important that people should become vocal and active. And that is the reason that that I will be introducing the two resolutions this evening. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Other commissioners, questions or comments for Councilmember Allen?
Yeah, I have a couple. Thank you, Councilmember Allen, for being here. The first is I'm guessing you saw the announcement today from the mayor welcoming the presence, and it seemed indefinitely. I was wondering if you just give it what context you know about that executive order and what she's communicated to you and publicly.
I'll be honest, the mayor sent us, her staff sent us the press release that they had sent out after they sent it out. So there was not coordination between the executive branch and the legislative branch on this. So I don't have all the details of it. As I understand it, if I understand it correctly, the mayor is trying to create essentially an operations center, much like what we do with any event with what's called an emergency operations center, where it tries to bring together clear points of contact and leadership. Think about a major fire or a major event that we need to be responding to. So we have some that are standing, and I think that's what her intent is, to create this kind of standing. I believe she even borrowed the president's language and called it the Safe and Beautiful Operations Center. And it essentially seems to be a place where she's going to try to coordinate the federal entities and have them come into and be a part of the district government's response. I don't have all the details on it, so I don't want to misspeak on what she's trying to do. But it was not coordinated with the council or the attorney general, as far as I'm aware.
Was there any context?
But I guess to say it obviously paves the way, and opens the door for these federal agents to be here and working with her administration and MPD. There's no expiration date on her order or the operations center.
Got it. Are you aware of any context of why today and why make this announcement at all?
No.
Great, thank you.
I mean, other than we're about a week out from the expiration of the 30 days.
Got it.
Yeah.
Slightly different question, but related. One of the things that the president had said when mobilizing the other troops of people to come into the city was about clearing homeless encampments and beautifying the city.
Yeah.
I just was wondering if you had a set of resources that we could point people to make sure that those in our community who are affected by this can get the support that they need. I know others in our community have reached out to me to make sure that they can do their part to help.
Yeah, absolutely. We had tried to share some of that information on some of the emails and information I've been sending out. I know Eric Salmi from my team is on the call, so he'll help me remember to follow up with you, and we can kind of share some of those resources and see if that's a helpful element. If you feel like there's something missing or it's not covered there, let us know, and we'll try to work to make sure we get that out. I know I've talked to several of our homeless service providers, and they have been trying their very best to get out, talk to people, let them know what their rights are, also trying to move people into shelter. And I think citywide, about 81 people who were in tents or experiencing homelessness moved into shelter, but that still leaves several hundred. I think the net effect of when they come in and just try to tear down a bunch of tents downtown or near the White House is it just displaces the need that people are experiencing. And so I know, for example, I had a couple of folks reach out to me because all of a sudden there was somebody who was in their alley, just kind of found a place to kind of tuck in and sleep for the night. And they were kind of confused. What happened? My hunch is what happened was that because of the downtown displacements, we're going to see individuals that are looking for shelter or safe spaces anywhere else. And so DBH still has a lot of work to do to help get people into care, into housing, into shelter. And I know our homeless service providers are trying to work on that too.
Great. Thank you so much
Thanks.
for sharing those resources too.
Great. I actually have a question following up on the impact on unsheltered homelessness in DC. Are we also seeing criminalization of homelessness? Are there any documented arrests of people just being arrested for, experiencing unsheltered homelessness in addition to cleaning of encampments?
I have not seen, I'm not aware of an arrest yet. So for, let's say, for example, federal National Park Service sites, and that seems to be where they're focusing actually is on NPS and federal land. There is an anti-camping statute. It's a misdemeanor, and actually the Attorney General will be the one to prosecute it. So if we heard about it, our AG would probably flag it for us and let us know. To date, I have not seen or heard of that yet. I think they're threatening the arrest, and then under the threat of arrest, people are moving. And so they're grabbing their things before they tear their tent down and displace.
Thank you. Other commissioners, any questions? Yeah, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. On this topic of homelessness, we heard at an earlier period that some homeless people might be removed from DC and put someplace else. I haven't seen any press reports about that, but I wonder, is that happening? And if so, this seems like a sort of a disappearing act that we should be alarmed by, but I haven't heard of any reports. Have you?
I have not heard of that in our homeless residents context. We are absolutely seeing that happen, though, from residents that just don't look like me. So they're targeting, I think they're racial profiling very clearly, Black and brown residents. And we absolutely have seen that there are people being disappeared from the streets of DC. About a week or two ago, there was a moped delivery driver who MPD cruiser pulls him over, lights came on, he pulls over, an ICE agent's riding shotgun in that car. As he is sitting there, an ICE agent opens the door, runs and tackles him and knocks him to the ground, starts yelling, stop resisting, after he had just tackled him to the ground, ends up breaking both his arms and puts him in handcuffs. And then he is sent off to an ICE detention facility. We later found out because there happened to be an immigration lawyer who was on the sidewalk when it happened and got his phone number and his name and were able to track him down. He had been sent off into Virginia to, I think it was Farmville or Danville, where there's a ICE medical facility. But there are others that seem to have just disappeared. And ICE is not telling us anything. So when we ask, where are you, how many arrests have you made? Who are they? Where have you sent them? They are not answering.
Well, this is terrible because obviously, I mean, it looks like a violation of due process as well as complete absence of accountability.
Correct.
Because of course we can't really identify who did this. They're not, the authorities are not responsive to this, and there can be really major violations going on here.
Agreed. And again, that's the distinction between our MPD officers and federal law enforcement, right? Again, MPD is going to have their badge, their name, their face cannot be covered. They have body-worn camera footage on. That's actually how I watched what happened to that 13th and I with the moped driver. I requested body-worn camera footage of the MPD officer who happened to be there because I wanted to be able to see if, from his vantage point, I could see what had taken place. We have an Office of Police Complaints where residents can go and file a complaint and be able to get that information in. We don't have any of that on the federal side. And so that's an important part. And when DC makes an arrest, we know that information that gets recorded. So we know who it is, what they were charged with. You can track that. The federal arrests go into a whole different system, and they are lost to us from our visibility and transparency standpoint.
Other commissioners, any questions or comments for Councilmember Allen before we open the door for constituents? Great. I'll start by reading a question in the Q&A box from Diego. And I'm quoting here, how can our voice have the most impact against this power grab? What should our strategy be?
Appreciate the question, Diego. I mean, certainly I would recommend organizations like Free DC have been doing a great job at organizing. And so if you're not familiar with that group or if you're not connected, I think that's a great way to kind of see a lot of local community leadership that's trying to help pull together. So if you go to Free DC, I think it's freedc.org, but you'll find them that way. I think we also need to help continue friends, neighbors, family that you have that live somewhere other than DC. Then you got to help them know what's going on here. This has nothing to do with public safety. This is about power and control. It's happening here because they can. And so I think every American should be very concerned about what they're seeing take place and what is happening. And so if you know someone who lives in Chicago or New York or Memphis or Louisville, anywhere, this can happen. And this is also a place where they're not just going to focus on areas that have Democratic senators. Trump talked about Memphis, Tennessee. Well, it might have a Democratic mayor, but it's got 2 Republican senators. That seems like I have heard a handful, not very many, but a handful of Republican senators that do see, who are kind of like, listen, I'm a small government conservative. This concerns me, that type of perspective. And so I do think there will be some voices in the Senate. Unfortunately, we don't see much backbone there, but see a couple that might kind of be of that thinking that really try to look at what's happening and the risk there. So I think helping tell the story, make sure people know why they should care about what's happening in your neighborhood.
Great. Constituents, if you have any questions for Councilmember Allen, you could use the Q&A box or use the raise hand option to ask your question live. While we're waiting for questions, I have a quick one. Is there a collective stance or response on the council side? Because there seemed to be a little bit of a split between the executive branch and then the council on responding to these actions and understanding the limitations without statehood. What could the council do, to help at least like ease some of these challenges?
Well, I mean, remember the council is 13 members as well. So we are not, while we are an institution, we are one branch of government. We're 13 different members. We have been trying to stay in constant touch with each other to everything from sharing kind of, hey, I'm gonna be on CNN talking about this issue, and here's what I'm going to be trying to emphasize and talk about. To asking questions of each other to say, okay, what are you talking about? What's resonating, and how are you talking about this complex issue? So to the extent possible, the council has been trying to talk to each other, recognizing we're 13 different people, 13 different voices. We may not be completely aligned on every element. We're trying our best to make sure we are talking to each other, because I think there's more power when we're able to do that. And across government, I've talked with the Attorney General. We've met with the mayor several times, trying our best to say, while we may have substantive disagreements on a number of issues, in this moment, are we able to stick together? I do think that at times gets strained. Not going to lie about that, but I do believe everyone is trying their level best to have government be able to have, as your elected leaders, try to speak with one voice as much as we can. But there will be disagreements. And I think you've seen that a little bit last week and this week. But at the same time, we're also trying to recognize what Trump would love nothing more is to have people kind of get split up and kind of try to start attacking each other or eating each other alive. And that's not helpful for what our main goal is, which is we got to protect our city, protect our residents, protect home rule. Those are the priorities. So we're not going to shy away from disagreement, but you're also going to try really hard to be able to show a unified leadership.
Great. Constituents who are joining us tonight, let's call for questions for Councilmember Allen. If not, we can wrap up soon. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A box or the raise hand option. Okay.
I'm going to say you all asked such great questions that you covered it all. So
thank you. Yeah, that it's a tough time, but maybe wrap up with a more positive note. If you can give us maybe a couple, sentences about the future of statehood. We've been talking about public safety for a while, outside of this takeover or overreach. What is working when it comes to community safety, just to end on a more of a positive note.
Yeah, well, listen, one of the things I think is really hard for a lot of people is that in the midst of this, which people find hurtful, harmful, offensive, everyone still has a life to live too. And so it's been very challenging. I've talked to a lot of folks about this. I mean, last week for most families in DC, their kids went back to school and started a new school year. Listen, I'm a dad of 2 kids. I got a middle schooler and an elementary school. As angry as I am, as much as this is dominating a lot of my time and energy, I got to be present for my kids for their first day. I want to celebrate that moment, get them off to a great start, thank their teachers, be excited for their school year, right? So there's some good news there. I mean, DC schools continue to do better and better and better. Very proud of the fact that Ward 6 had the top performing middle school within DCPS that made the greatest gains out of any school in our city. We've got good things to talk about. We've got good stories to tell. And so I think we all want to find ways that, and listen, everybody on this call may not be in full resistance mode either. But for those of us that feel very strongly that we need to resist, we've got to fight, we've got to push back. I also think we got to find our moments of joy, find our moments of the things that make it so we love to call this place home, that we raise our families here, that we find our friends here. This weekend, I was able to go catch up with some friends and neighbors and do a September kind of Labor Day cookout, right? Like, despite all the things going on, please make sure you're finding those things that also bring us together and celebrate our neighbors and celebrate our neighborhood. In 6E, I've been following along. I'm excited for LaBetty and kind of what happens next over there and kind of reading along about the changes happening there. Can't wait to go check it out. Find the things that we're really excited about as well. So I think it's important to remember there's a lot to love about why you call this home, why you think this place is so special. Don't forget that. Lift it up, celebrate it, share it. Because you also need that to help refill the well when you're needing to fight and struggle. And so those things are very important.
Great. Thank you so much again for joining us. And we'll continue working with your office on public safety and other issues. Thanks again for joining us and have a good night.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Now moving to the next item. Commissioner Prince, are you able to share your screen? If not, could you send me the latest version of the
No,
first
actually,
resolution?
I can share it. Let me
Okay.
make sure I have the right document here. Let's see, do I have the authority to share? I think I do.
I have it.
Yes. I think we're sharing the right thing. Are you seeing the resolution now? Have we got
Yeah,
two on? No, I think I've got both of them. Is there only one? There should be only one. I'm seeing two of them. Wait a minute. Oh,
I can only see
you only
one,
see the
but
resolution condemning federal overreach? Okay, it's because I am
yeah.
going to minimize this and this and this and a bunch of other stuff. Okay, fine. Let me say by way of background that this resolution it came out of the ANC Home Rule Caucus, which has had some conversations about all of the issues that we've already touched on already this evening. And some other folks drafted this for ANCs to approve. The main purpose of this resolution, as opposed to the one that we will consider afterwards, is to urge the Congress not to extend the 30-day emergency period. So it is directed above all to the Congress and goes on the record that every commission approving this or something similar to it feels that the Congress should act or perhaps not act to renew the so-called emergency. So it reviews the some Home Rule Act authorities that the president has, some of the recent history, the declaration of the president's invocation of Section 740 of the Home Rule Act to federalize operational control of the police. And then I have updated the figures on the deployment of the number of DC and now 6 other state National Guard troops and to come and address the situation in DC. And of course, as we know, many of the National Guard troops are engaged in activities other than addressing crime, although of course they're present there, but I think only on federal lands. I could be mistaken. And then speaks of the president's intent to extend and and it's so on and so forth. So this is the rationale in all of these whereas paragraphs, and then finally, if we pass this, we will be urging the Congress to reject an extension. We will urge them to eliminate the federal control over local police and to strengthen DC self-governance. We will ask them to restore the locally raised funds that were not made available to DC, which are over $1 billion that should be spent on DC priorities. And then it expresses our support for legal challenges against the contesting the statutory emergency threshold, and finally demands transparency from the executive branch, the DC police, and all the heads of agencies regarding the conduct of their personnel in law enforcement and other activities. So that's the resolution. It's already been passed, as I mentioned, by several other commissions. Other commissions will be taking it up in coming days, and some representatives of the DC of the ANC Home Rule Caucus will be meeting or seeking meetings with members of Congress in the coming days with copies of this in hand to urge them to do the right thing and deny the president an extension of the 30-day emergency.
Thank you. This was very helpful. Could you go back to the last section, the section with the ask, just to go through them one more time and emphasize what we're trying to do? So urging Congress to reject any joint resolution extending the federal control of MPD beyond 30 days and to pass legislation to eliminate federal control over local police. So this would be a new bill that would not allow the executive branch at the federal level to have control over local police, right? This is
That's
a new
the,
bill.
that would be the ask that the
Yeah.
Congress, that they legislate away federal
Mhm.
control over local police. And at the same time, they take some steps to strengthen DC self-governance.
Right? And then restore the $1 billion in local raised funds to the district's budget. Yeah, so that's a fiscal fix that has not happened yet. And then challenges by the district government organizations present contesting that the sanitary emergency threshold has been, sorry, could you go down? Has been lawfully met and full public transparency from the White House, Department of Justice, MPD leadership, and the heads of all federal agencies whose officers are deployed in the district regarding the mission, rules of engagement officers, and probably arrest criteria, geographic scope, and anticipated duration. Great. Yeah, I don't have any issues with voting on and approving this resolution, but want to open the floor for other commissioners to see if you have any comments, questions, suggested revisions before we vote on this resolution. And also constituents, if you have any questions or comments on this resolution before we vote on it, you could use the Q&A box or the raise hand option. Commissioners, any comments or questions? None. Okay. Before we vote on the resolution, any constituents have any comments, suggested revisions, or questions? Okay. Not seeing any. Oh, I see one in the Q&A box. None. Okay. Great. Commissioner Prince, since you um are helping leading this advocacy work, would you want to introduce the resolution? Oh, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Thank you. May I stop sharing?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. I would like to move that ANC 6E approve the resolution on condemning federal overreach in District of Columbia policing and demanding the immediate return of local funds.
Right. Any commissioner would like
And
to
that
second?
we convey this to Congress through the ANC Home Rule Caucus and other means.
I second that.
Great. So Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Hans seconded a resolution condemning federal overreach in the District of Columbia policing and demanding the immediate return of local funds and conveying those asks to Congress and the White House through the DC Home Rule Caucus. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I
I
Aye.
Great. The resolution passes with 5 yeas, 0 nays, and no abstains. Moving to the next item. I think I have that resolution, the second one.
I have it up if you.
Oh, you
don't.
have it up? Yeah, that would be great if you can share your screen and go through it before we discuss it. Let's see, hand
That's
raised.
hearing all right. I believe it is.
Yeah.
Let me just move this over a little bit. This resolution has a different purpose and is directed to DC officials. And it addresses the concern over the masking of federal agents, the use of somewhat generic uniforms or body armor with markings that say police, federal agent, federal officer. You can't tell in every case where they are, what agency they come from, whether it's, and we have many agencies deployed here. We have ICE, we have DEA, we have Park Service. I have read that even the State Department's Diplomatic Security Service has been deputized to work on crime issues in DC. There may be others as well. I think, in fact, ICE may be divided into two different parts with different markings on some of their vests, but some, as we've probably all seen in photos, they just say police. They may or may not have a badge. They may or may not display their name. So this is an attempt to address that situation. In the first part, it describes what we're confronted with and the why this is a problem, because it hinders transparency, accountability, due process, and it engenders fear and mistrust among policed populations. This is, as Councilmember Allen stated, not the practice of the Metropolitan Police Department. This is what the federal agents are doing, and the Metropolitan Police Department has a different protocol, which requires them to make their identity clear. So, for all of these reasons, the resolution calls upon the mayor and others in DC government, as well as the district's representatives on the Hill and the council, to make known to, as it says here, to the federal interlocutors, the urgent need to develop clear policies on identifiability, use of face coverings while conducting overt law enforcement activities. It urges the Office of the Attorney General to publicize information about federal agencies' policies on the identifiability of their personnel, and about appropriate channels for reporting violations. And then the fourth, I think it's the fourth one, it applauds the efforts of legislators in other states to restrict the use of face coverings and anonymous uniforms. And then it calls upon DC's federal representatives to work to advance legislative remedies. And it invokes the Visible Identification Standards for Immigration-Based Law Enforcement Act, Visible, which has been introduced in the U.S. Senate which would require immigration enforcement officers, as well as other law enforcement officers, to display their agency name and either their surname or their badge number, excuse me. And then finally, it would, if we pass this, it will affirm this commission's commitment to implementing community-based models of policing. So that is the reason. That's all the rationale behind this. And if it were to bring about the change, I'm sure that it would reduce the level of fear among the population who see masked people who are not identifiable, who refuse to identify themselves, pick up, stop, accost people on the street, take them away in unmarked vehicles, perhaps with out-of-state plates, and that is a real problem, as we discussed before, because of the lack of accountability and the lack of due process. So that's why this is called Resolution Regarding the Identifiability of Federal Agents and Officers Operating in the District of Columbia. Over.
Great. Thank you. That was very helpful summary, and explanation. I don't have any questions or concerns. I support passing this resolution, but want to open the floor for other commissioners to see if you have any questions, suggested changes, or any comments. Also, constituents who are joining us, if you have any comments or questions regarding this proposed resolution, could use the Q&A box or the raise hand option. I saw that G-Pad 5 had a raised hand. You have a question or comment? See, Diego.
Yeah, hi. I thank you for putting it up together. I think a key area of risk that we're having with this on inability to identify the people is that there can be a lot of copycats that are not, on any agency just, doing their thing, right? So I think that's also a risk that needs to be addressed, and it's a increase in. It doesn't address the security, right? It just creates more chaos, right? So I think I don't know how to word it, but that's I've seen it happen in other countries, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you know, other people who are not law enforcement agents could be wearing face masks, asking people to get into their vehicles without any identification, and that could be an issue. For sure, it's a safety issue. Yeah, thank you. Do you have any other comments or do you have any questions?
Not regarding this. I see
Mm.
that. Sorry, I see that the the 04 is vacant, and I actually live on that
Mhm.
or that block, so we can
Yeah.
talk later.
Great. Yeah. That single member district 6E04 is still vacant. And there's a process for filing through the DC Board of Elections. But yeah, I can drop my email in the chat if you have any other questions about the process. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Um, yeah, any other constituents who live in that area and single member District 604 could also reach out to the Board of Elections or reach out to one of the commissioners if you're interested in filing for filling that seat. Any other constituents with questions or comments regarding this proposed resolution? Okay, not seeing any. I think Commissioner Prince, you can stop sharing and then bring this resolution to the floor for a vote.
Thank you. I would like to move that ANC 6E approve or adopt the resolution regarding the identifiability of federal agents and officers operating in the District of Columbia.
I second
Great.
that.
Great. So Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Hans seconded a resolution on or regarding the identifiability of federal agents and officers operating in the District of Columbia. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That's Commissioner Rogers. Okay. Just noting that Commissioner Rogers joined the meeting. And it's 7:30 p.m. So I heard Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Prince, Commissioner Kaufman,
Aye.
Commissioner Aladif,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Hans.
Aye.
Great. So the resolution passes with 6 yeas, 0 nays, and no abstains. Moving to the next item, open forum will have up to 10 minutes. If any commissioner or constituent have any issue they would like to raise, if you have any questions or comments, we usually do 2 minutes per person, and then we can have time for ANC follow-up. I will start with commissioners, noting that this is a special meeting. We will still have the monthly meeting on the 25th, but wanted to have some room to discuss any time pressing issues. Commissioners, anything you would like to raise? No. Okay. Opening the floor for constituents. If you have any questions, comments for ANC 6E, feel free to use the raise hand option to ask it live, or use the Q&A box to type your question or comment. And last call for questions or comments by constituents. Okay. Not seeing any. I think we can adjourn. Anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Sure, I can do that. I move to adjourn 6E special meeting of September 2025.
Great. Anyone would like to second?
Second.
Great. Commissioner Hans moved and Commissioner Aladov seconded a motion to adjourn ANC special 6E special meeting on September 2nd, 2025. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Aladov, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Aye. Great. So the motion passes with 6 yeas, 0 nays, and no abstains. Thank you again for joining us for this special meeting. We will have our regular meeting for September with a different agenda on the 25th. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.